Let me say something right at the top, and I mean it as a genuine warning, not as a gimmick. If you came here tonight looking to have your existing assumptions confirmed back to you, gently, in the language you already use to describe this person, you might want to click away. Seriously, no hard feelings. Because what came through these cards today is not the tidy, expected version of how someone feels about you. It is messy, it is contradictory, it is human in a way that's going to make some of you uncomfortable before it makes you feel seen. So I need you to do one thing before we go any further. Loosen your grip on what you think you already know. Just for the next little while. Hold it loosely, because the truth that wants to come through tonight does not fit neatly into they love me or they don't. It lives in the complicated middle. And the complicated middle is where all the real stuff hides. Okay, hi, it's Elena. Welcome back to Elena Tarot. Get comfortable and maybe get a little brave, because tonight we're going somewhere honest. So here's why I framed this reading the way I did, with the whole only watch if you have an open mind thing. And it's not just for the title. It's because I've learned something doing this for as long as I have. The readings that change people's lives are almost never the ones that flatter them. They're the ones that show them something they half suspected, but were too scared to look at directly. And when I sat down with these cards today, I could feel that exact energy gathering. This isn't a reading designed to make you feel good for 10 minutes and then forget about. This is a reading designed to hand you the real answer, the one underneath the surface. The one this person might not even have fully admitted to themselves yet. And I want to be transparent with you about my own filter here, because I think it matters. There's a temptation, when you do this kind of work, to soften everything, to round the sharp corners off, to tell people only the parts that will keep them comfortable and keep them watching. I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to tell you exactly what I see, including the parts that sting a little, because I respect you too much to hand you a fantasy. You didn't come here for a fantasy. You came here for the truth. So that's what you're getting. Let me shuffle. I'm going to pull straight into the rawest, most unfiltered part of how this person actually feels about you, the stuff under the stuff. The feelings beneath the feelings they show you. Here we go. The first pull, the feeling they're embarrassed to have okay. The first card I'm pulling tonight is the Seven of Swords. And the moment it landed, I heard a phrase so clearly that I have to give it to you exactly as it came. They're hiding something, but it's not what you think they're hiding. Now stay with me, because the Seven of Swords usually gets read as deception, sneaking around, dishonesty, and I know, the second I say hiding, some of you are going to jump straight to the worst conclusion. Put that down for a second, because what this person is hiding from you is not a betrayal. It's not another connection. It's not some dark secret about who they really are. What they're hiding is the depth of their own feeling. And here's the shocking part, the part that the title is promising you they're hiding it because they're embarrassed by it. Let me explain what I mean, because this is subtle and it's important. This person has developed feelings for you that are bigger than they ever planned for. Feelings that, frankly, embarrass them. Because in their own internal narrative, the story they tell themselves about who they are, they're supposed to be the composed one. The one who has it together. The one who doesn't get swept up, doesn't lose their head, doesn't catch feelings they can't control. And then you happened. And suddenly, this person who prides themselves on being measured and self-contained is feeling things at a volume that genuinely mortifies them. So the Seven of Swords here isn't them sneaking around behind your back, it's them sneaking around behind their own back. It's them tiptoeing past their own heart, trying not to wake it up. Because if they fully acknowledge how they feel, they'll have to do something about it, and doing something about it means risk, means vulnerability, means handing you a power over them they're not sure they want anyone to have. Here's the part that might shock you most. You have probably been reading their pullback, their guardedness, their occasional coolness as a sign of less feeling, as distance, as them not being that into you. And I need you to flip that completely on its head. In this case, the guardedness is a measure of more. The cooler they act, the harder they're working to hide how warm they actually run for you. The composure is camouflage. They are not under-feeling. They are over-feeling and desperately trying not to let it show. Comment the camouflage below if this just reframed something for you, if you've been reading their distance as disinterest, when it might have been the exact opposite. Because I think a lot of you are about to feel a little lightheaded reading that. And I want to add a layer to this card that I think is going to explain a very specific behavior some of you have witnessed and been baffled by. When a person is hiding feelings this big, they often overcorrect in the other direction. So you might have noticed moments where this person was almost too casual with you, too breezy, too it's whatever, no big deal. Maybe they said something dismissive about the connection, or made a joke at a moment when you were being sincere, or downplayed something that clearly mattered. And it stung. It made you feel like maybe you were the only one taking this seriously. But here's what the Seven of Swords is showing me. That casualness was a performance. It was a man or whoever this person is deliberately underselling their own feelings out loud. Precisely because the feelings were running so hot inside that they panicked and threw cold water on it. We do this. All of us do this. When we feel exposed, when we feel like we've shown too much, our instinct is to immediately walk it back, to act like it meant less than it did, to protect ourselves by pretending we're not as invested as we secretly are. So if there was a moment where they made you feel small for caring, where they acted like the thing between you was nothing, I want you to consider that it was the opposite of the truth. The louder someone insists this is no big deal, the more often it's the biggest deal of all. The dismissiveness was the tell. Let's pull the next card. The second pull, the two versions of you in their head, okay? The next card is the Two of Pentacles. And this is where it gets genuinely fascinating, so I want you to really track with me, because this explains the hot and cold, the inconsistency, the which version of them am I getting today feeling. The Two of Pentacles is the card of juggling, of holding two things at once and trying desperately not to drop either. And what I'm being shown is that this person is holding two completely different versions of you in their mind simultaneously, and they cannot reconcile them. Here's the first version. There's a version of you in their head that is, honestly, almost idealized, elevated, put on a bit of a pedestal. This is the version of you they're a little intimidated by, the one who seems so self-assured, so capable, so complete without them, that it makes them feel like they could never measure up. This version of you is the one they admire from a distance, the one they're not sure they deserve, the one that makes them feel like the underdog in this connection. And then there's a second version. The second version is the real you, flawed, human, soft, occasionally messy. The version they've glimpsed in unguarded moments. And here's the wild thing. They're far more in love with the second version than the first. The pedestal version impresses them. The real version is the one that actually melts them. But they keep getting confused between the two. And that confusion is producing all the inconsistency you've been experiencing. Because watch what happens. When they're relating to the idealized pedestal version of you, they get distant and a little defensive because that version makes them feel inadequate. And nobody wants to feel inadequate, so they pull back to protect their ego. But when they get a glimpse of the real you, the human, soft, unguarded you, they come rushing back in. Because that version makes them feel safe enough to love you. So the hot and cold isn't about their feelings changing. Their feelings are constant. What's changing is which version of you they're looking at in any given moment. When they're seeing the pedestal, they retreat. When they're seeing the real you, they reach. And this is huge for you to understand, Divine Feminine, because it means the way to actually get the best of this person isn't to perform the impressive, untouchable, has it all together version. It's the opposite. The thing that draws them closer is your humanity, your realness, the unpolished moments, the vulnerability. They don't need to be more impressed by you, they're plenty impressed. It's actually part of the problem. What disarms them is being let in. being shown the human underneath the magnificent. That's the version that makes a guarded person feel safe enough to finally stop guarding. But I want to flag a trap here, because some of you are going to take that the wrong way, and I'd rather catch it now. Show them the real, human, vulnerable you does not mean perform vulnerability for them. It doesn't mean strategically lowering your guard to manipulate them into reaching for you. They'd feel that it would read as another performance, just a softer one, and it would push them away faster than the pedestal ever did. What I'm talking about is something much simpler and much harder. Just being yourself without managing the impression. Letting the real you exist in front of them without curating it. The unguarded laugh you didn't plan. The opinion you didn't soften. The moment you let them see you tired, or unsure, or genuinely delighted, without first checking how it'll come across. That's the realness that disarms them, not vulnerability as a tactic, but vulnerability as a non-performance. The whole reason it works is that it's the one thing they can't read as a strategy. So don't add be more vulnerable to your list of things to perform. Just put the performance down entirely. That's the actual instruction. Stop managing how you land and let them meet the person who exists when you stop trying. Let's pull the next card. The third pull, the resentment nobody talks about. Okay. The next card is the Five of Wands and Loves. This is one of the rawest things that's going to come up tonight. So I need you to keep that open mind I asked you for, because this one might prickle a little. The Five of Wands is conflict, friction, and internal scuffle. And what I'm being shown is something that almost never gets said in love readings. Because it's not flattering and it's not romantic, but it's true. And you deserve the truth. There is a small, quiet thread of resentment tangled up in how this person feels about you. Now, before you spiral, let me explain exactly what it is and where it comes from. Because it's not what it sounds like. And understanding it is going to give you enormous power. This person resents you a little, not for anything you did wrong, but for how much power you have over them without even trying. Think about it from their side. They've spent their whole life being the one in control of their own emotional state, the one who decides who gets close and who doesn't, the one who keeps the upper hand. And then you came along, and without lifting a finger, without manipulating, without even intending to you, took the steering wheel of their feelings out of their hands. They think about you when they don't want to. Their mood lifts or drops based on whether they've heard from you. They've caught themselves rearranging their day, their plans, their priorities around the possibility of you. And some part of them resents that. Resents that they handed you that much influence without consciously choosing to. Resents that you became this important when they didn't sign up for you to be this important. It's the resentment of someone who feels like they lost a game they didn't know they were playing. And it shows up in weird, sideways ways. It shows up as them occasionally being a little cold for no reason. As them testing you. As them pulling back right when things are going well. Almost like they're trying to prove to themselves that they can still walk away. That you don't have that much power over them, when in reality, that little act of withdrawal is them trying to claw back a sense of control they feel like they lost the moment they fell for you. And here's why I'm telling you this. Because it's not to make you feel bad, it's to make you feel free. Once you understand that some of their inconsistency is this control-clawing behavior, you stop taking it so personally. You stop reading every cold spell as a verdict on your worth. You start seeing it for what it actually is. A person fighting a losing battle with their own feelings, and occasionally lashing out at the source of those feelings, which is you. It's not a sign they care less. It's a sign they care so much that it's threatening their entire sense of who they are. Comment not a verdict below if you needed permission to stop reading their occasional coldness as a final judgment on you. Because it isn't one. It never was. And there's a deeper layer to this resentment that I want to give you. Because it's actually a strangely good sign once you understand it. People do not resent things that don't matter to them. Think about it, you don't resent a stranger for having power over you. Because a stranger doesn't have power over you. The resentment only exists because the power is real. So, this little thread of resentment in your person, uncomfortable as it is to hear about, is actually a backhanded confirmation of just how deep this goes. They could not resent your influence over their feelings if you didn't have tremendous influence over their feelings. The resentment is the shadow that proves the light. It's the friction generated by them caring far more than they ever meant to. So when you catch them being weird, testing you, pulling back at a good moment instead of reading it as they're losing interest, I want you to learn to read it as they're struggling with how much they have invested. A person who's genuinely losing interest doesn't fight their feelings. They just drift, easily, without friction. Friction means there's something to fight against. And the thing they're fighting against is the fact that you've become someone whose presence in their life they can no longer take or leave casually. The struggle is the evidence. Calm indifference would actually be the worst sign. The friction is good news, wearing an uncomfortable costume. Let's pull the next card. The fourth pull, what they confess to themselves at night. Okay. The next card is the Four of Cups. And this one took me somewhere intimate, so I'm going to bring you with me into it. The Four of Cups is the card of someone sitting alone, contemplating, dissatisfied with what's right in front of them, lost in their own inner world, often missing the very thing being offered to them because they're too absorbed in their own head. And what this card is showing me is your person in their most private moments, not the version they perform for you or for the world. The version that exists when the lights are off, the phone is down, and there's no one around to keep up appearances for. And in those moments, divine feminine, they think about you. A lot. More than you'd believe. More than they'd ever admit. There's a whole inner monologue happening about you that you are not privy to. And I am being allowed to peek into a little of it tonight. Here's what they confess to themselves when no one's listening. They confess that they're scared. They confess that you might be the one. And that terrifies them more than it excites them. Because if you're the one, then they have something real to lose. And they've spent their whole life avoiding having something real to lose. They confess that they've been holding back not because they don't feel enough, but because they feel too much. And they don't trust themselves with it. They confess sometimes that they don't think they deserve you, that you're operating on a level they're not sure they can match. And rather than risk being exposed as not enough, they keep one foot out the door so they can tell themselves they were never fully in. The Four of Cups is also the card of someone overlooking a gift because they're too lost in their own anxiety to reach out and take it. And that's the tragedy of where this person is right now. There's a cup being extended to them, this connection, the love that's available, and they keep almost reaching for it and then pulling back into their own head, their own fear, their own overthinking. They're not rejecting the cup. They're paralyzed in front of it, frozen by the size of what it would mean to actually accept it. And there's something almost lonely about the Four of Cups that I want to name, because it'll help you hold compassion without losing yourself in it. This card shows a person so wrapped up in their own inner weather that they end up isolated, even when connection is sitting right there in front of them. So understand this. When your person retreats into their head, it is not a fun place they're escaping to. It's not that they're pulling away from you towards something better or brighter. They're pulling away into a gray, anxious, isolating fog where they sit alone with their overthinking and their fear and their endless analysis of every possible way this could go wrong. They are not out there carefree and unbothered while you carry all the feeling. Flip that picture entirely. They're stuck in a lonely little room of their own making, staring at the door, wanting to walk through it, and finding themselves frozen every single time they try. That's the real texture of the Four of Cups. It isn't indifference, it's paralysis. And paralysis, unlike indifference, is full of longing. It just can't move. So the next time you imagine them somewhere not thinking about you, I want you to replace that image with the truer one. Someone sitting alone with a cup right in front of them, aching to drink and too frightened to lift it. And I want to be honest with you about what this means practically, because I never want to just leave you in the pretty feeling. A person stuck in the Four of Cups can stay stuck for a while. This isn't a card of imminent action. This is a card of internal wrestling that has to resolve on the inside before anything changes on the outside. So if you've been waiting for them to just figure it out, already understand that the figuring out is happening in a place you can't access and can't speed up. Your job isn't to reach into their head and resolve it for them. Your job is to keep being the steady, available, real cup present, but not pushing, and let them do the internal work of finding the courage to reach. Let's pull the next card. The fifth pull the thing they admire that they'd never say okay. The next card is the Queen of Wands, and this one is you. Divine Feminine, and more specifically, it's the thing about you that this person admires so intensely that they almost can't say it out loud. The Queen of Wands is magnetic. She's warm and fierce at the same time. She walks into a room and the energy shifts. She has this radiant, self-generated light that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval to keep burning. And that's what this person sees when they look at you. They see someone who is fully alive, someone who isn't dimming themselves, isn't shrinking, isn't waiting for permission to take up space. And here's the raw, shocking thing about how they feel they are drawn to your light and threatened by it at the exact same time. Drawn to it because your aliveness makes them feel more alive just by being near you. You wake them up. You make the world look more vivid. Being around you is like being around a fire on a cold night. They want to get close to the warmth, but threatened by it because your light exposes how dim they've let their own become. You're living so fully, so unapologetically, that being near you holds up a mirror to all the ways they've been playing small, settling, going through the motions, keeping their own flame turned way down. And nobody likes being shown the gap between who they are and who they could be. So the thing they admire most about you is also the thing that makes them most uncomfortable. They love that you're a force, and they're a little afraid of being with a force, because it means they'd have to step up, they'd have to match you, they'd have to stop coasting and actually show up at the level you naturally operate at. And part of them isn't sure they're ready for that. Part of them wonders if they have it in them. This is the secret admiration the Queen of Wands reveals. They think you're too good, in the most genuine sense. Not in a fake, flattering way, in a way that genuinely intimidates them. They look at you and think, how do I deserve someone who shines like that? And that question, that quiet, insecure, never spoken out loud question, is one of the biggest forces keeping them at arm's length. It's not that they don't want you, it's that they're not sure they're enough for you. And rather than risk finding out they're not, they keep a careful distance. Comment too good if it never occurred to you that their distance might come from feeling like they're not enough for you, rather than you not being enough for them. Because for a lot of you, that's been the dynamic this whole time, and you've had it backwards. And I want to say something to the women who are sitting there right now, feeling a little vindicated, but also a little sad. Because I know this particular truth carries a sting in it. Some of you have spent so long wondering what was wrong with you, wondering why you weren't enough to make this person stay, commit, choose you fully. You've turned yourself inside out trying to figure out the flaw, the missing piece, the thing about you that wasn't quite landing. And to find out after all that self-interrogation that the actual issue was them feeling like they couldn't measure up to you, that can bring up a complicated grief. Because you spent all that energy doubting yourself over a problem that was never about your worth at all. So I want to gently invite you to do something with that. Let it return some power to you. Every hour you spent wondering if you were enough was an hour spent solving the wrong equation. You were never the deficiency in this connection. If anything, you were the abundance, so much abundance, that it intimidated someone into hiding. Take that knowledge and let it close the case on a question you should never have been carrying. You were enough the whole time. You were more than enough. That was never the problem. It was, in a strange way, the problem's opposite. Let's pull the next card. The sixth pull the memory they keep replaying, okay? The next card is the Six of Cups. And this one is tender and specific, and it's going to make some of you a little emotional. so brace gently. The Six of Cups is the card of memory, of nostalgia, of returning to a moment that meant something and living in it again. And what I'm being shown is that this person has a specific memory of you, a particular moment, a particular interaction, a particular version of a day you spent together, or a conversation you had that they replay, often like a song they can't get out of their head. And here's what's interesting about which memory it is. It's not the grand, dramatic, obvious one. It's not the first kiss or the big romantic gesture or whatever the official highlight of your connection might be. The memory they keep returning to is a small one, a quiet one, a throwaway moment that you probably don't even remember, that meant nothing in the grand scheme except it meant everything to them. Because it was a moment when they saw the real you, or felt truly at ease with you, or caught a glimpse of what a life with you could feel like. A moment so ordinary and so safe that it lodged itself in their heart and won't leave. It might be something as simple as the way you laughed at something, the way you looked at them across a room, a small kindness you showed them that you've completely forgotten about, a moment of comfortable silence where neither of you needed to perform. For you, it was nothing. For them, it became a touchstone, a piece of evidence they return to over and over when they're trying to convince themselves this connection is real, that they didn't imagine it, that there's actually something here worth being scared about. And the reason this matters so much, Divine Feminine, is that it tells you something profound about what this person actually values. They are not, despite whatever surface impression they might give, drawn to you because of the impressive stuff, the status stuff, the pedestal stuff. They're drawn to you because of the small stuff, the unguarded, ordinary, human moments where you were just being with them. That's the real currency of this connection. That's what they're hungry for. Not grand gestures, not performances. The quiet, safe, ordinary closeness that they replay on a loop because it's the realest thing they've felt in a long time. And I want to draw out something practical from this because it's genuinely useful. A lot of us, when we want someone to choose us, escalate, we try to give them more and more impressiveness, more excitement, more reasons, more proof of how great a partner we'd be. We turn up the volume. But the Six of Cups is quietly telling you the opposite strategy is the one that works on this person. They don't need more volume. They need more intimacy. And intimacy isn't loud. Intimacy is small. It's the ordinary moment, the easy silence, the inside joke, the unremarkable Tuesday that somehow feels like home. So if you ever find yourself in this person's presence again, the instinct to dazzle them, to remind them of everything you bring to the table, set it down. The thing that actually reaches them is the opposite. It's letting a moment be small and safe and real. It's not trying to make the moment matter, because the moments that matter most to this person are precisely the ones nobody was trying to make matter. That's the paradox of how they love. They're moved by what's unguarded, and you cannot guard your way into producing something unguarded. You can only relax into it. The memory they replay was never a performance, and the next one they fall for won't be either. Let's pull the next card. The seventh pull, the fear that's driving everything, okay? The next card is the Nine of Swords, and this is the engine underneath the whole machine. This is the why behind every confusing behavior, every pullback, every mixed signal. So I want you to pay close attention, because if you understand this card, you understand the entire situation. The Nine of Swords is the card of nighttime fear, of anxiety that grips you in the dark, of the worst-case scenarios that feel completely real at Thram, even though they dissolve in the daylight. And what I'm being shown is that beneath all of this person's composure, all their guardedness, all their carefully managed coolness, there is a fear running the show. And it's a specific fear, so let me name it precisely. They are afraid that if they fully let you in, if they drop the armor, hand you their heart, become genuinely vulnerable with you, they will eventually lose you. And the loss will destroy them. Because here's the brutal logic of the anxious, guarded heart. The more I let myself love, the more it will hurt when it's taken away. So if I love at half volume, if I keep one wall up, if I never fully commit, then if I lose them, at least it won't completely break me. This is the calculus your person is running, probably without even being conscious of it. They're not holding back because they don't love you. They're holding back because they're protecting themselves from how much they could be hurt by loving you. Their guardedness is a preemptive defense against a heartbreak that hasn't even happened and might never happen. They're flinching from a blow that no one has thrown. And here's where it comes from. Because this fear always has a history. Somewhere in this person's past, they loved someone fully, with their whole open heart, no walls, and it ended badly. They got blindsided, or abandoned, or betrayed, in a way that taught their nervous system a lesson it never unlearned. Full love equals devastation. Protect yourself. Never be that exposed again. And now you're paying the tax on a debt someone else created. The walls they keep up with you were built for a war that ended a long time ago, against an enemy that isn't you. But their heart doesn't know that. Their heart is still defending the old castle. So when you experience their fear-driven behavior, the flinching, the retreating, the half-commitment, I want you to hold it with a little more compassion. Not because you have to tolerate being kept at arm's length forever, but because understanding the fear changes how you respond to it. You stop fighting the wall. You stop trying to argue your way past it or prove yourself worthy of it coming down. Instead, you just keep being a safe presence, consistent, warm, non-threatening, and you let their nervous system slowly, over time, gather enough evidence that you are not the person who hurt them, that you can be trusted with the open-hearted version of them. That love, with you, doesn't have to equal devastation. That's the only thing that dismantles a Nine of Swords. Not pressure, not ultimatums. Patient, consistent, repeated evidence of safety. Comment the old castle. If you can feel that the walls this person keeps up were built long before you ever showed up, that you're dealing with their history, not their verdict on you. And I want to give you one more truth about the Nine of Swords, because it's the part that's going to require the most maturity from you, and you deserve to hear it straight. As much as I've explained their fear, as much compassion as I've asked you to hold for where it comes from, their fear is not your responsibility to cure. Read that again. You can be understanding of it. You can be patient with it. You can be a safe and consistent presence that gives their nervous system the evidence it needs over time. But you cannot and should not take on the job of healing this person's fear for them. That's a trap a lot of deeply loving women fall into. They hear this person is scared because of their past, and they immediately think, okay, then I'll be so consistent, so patient, so endlessly understanding that I'll heal them, and then they'll finally be able to love me fully. And I need to be honest with you, that almost never works the way you hope. Because a fear this deep can only be resolved by the person choosing to face it, not by being loved hard enough from the outside. You can create the conditions for their healing. You cannot do the healing for them. So please hear the difference. Be patient, but don't make their courage your project. Offer safety, but don't pour yourself out indefinitely, waiting for them to feel safe enough. There's a line between being a loving, steady presence and being someone's unpaid emotional rehabilitation program. And I want you firmly on the right side of it. Their fear explains their behavior. It does not obligate you to wait forever while they decide whether to face it. Compassion for their wound, yes. Abandoning your own timeline for it, no. Let's pull our final card. The final pull, the truth. At the very bottom, okay. The last card I'm pulling tonight is the Ace of Cups. And after everything we've waded through, the hiding, the two versions, the resentment, the fear, the replayed memory, the universe chose to close this reading with the one card that cuts through all of it and tells you the simplest, truest, most shocking thing of all. The Ace of Cups is pure love. New emotional beginning. The cup that's so full it overflows. It's the raw, unguarded, undefended source of feeling before all the fear and overthinking and armor gets layered on top of it. And the reason it's so powerful that this is the final card is that it tells you what's at the very bottom of this person, underneath every complicated thing we've discussed tonight. At the bottom, beneath the Seven of Swords hiding, beneath the Two of Pentacles confusion, beneath the Five of Wands resentment, beneath the Four of Cups paralysis, beneath the Nine of Swords fear, at the very bottom of all of it, there is a clean, simple, overflowing well of genuine love for you. That's the foundation. Everything else we talked about tonight is stuff piled on top of the love. The armor, the fear, the resentment, the inconsistency, none of that is the truth of how they feel. It's the defense against the truth of how they feel. And the truth, the actual bedrock truth, is the Ace of Cups. They love you, fully and genuinely, in a way that scares the life out of them, precisely because it's so real. So here's the shocking thing the title promised you. And here it is plainly, the depth of their feeling is the opposite of what their behavior suggests. Everything you may have read as they don't care that much is actually evidence of how much they care. The colder they've been, the more they're hiding. The more they've pulled back, the more they were trying to protect a heart that's completely, hopelessly full. You have not been overestimating this connection. If anything, and this is the part that's going to land hard for some of you, you've been underestimating it. You've been bracing yourself for the possibility that you cared more than they did. And the cards just told you it might be the reverse. And I want to sit in the Ace of Cups for one more moment, because there's a quality to this card that makes the whole reading land differently. And I don't want you to miss it. The Ace of Cups isn't just love, it's new love, fresh love. The very beginning of an emotional current, the source spring before the river. And what that tells me is that even though this person has been carrying these feelings for a while, the love itself hasn't gone stale or settled into something tired and familiar. It's still got that raw, first bloom quality to it, which is exactly why it overwhelms them so much. Old, settled love is comfortable. New love, love that still feels like the beginning, is intense. It's the kind that keeps you up at night. The kind that feels too big for your chest. The kind you don't know what to do with. So your person isn't dealing with a comfortable, manageable affection they can keep in a tidy box. They're dealing with something that still feels brand new and enormous every time it surges up, no matter how long they've technically had it. That's a huge part of why they keep flinching from it. You don't flinch from the familiar. You flinch from the overwhelming. And to them, loving you has never stopped feeling overwhelming. That's not a small thing. That's the kind of feeling people spend their whole lives hoping to stumble into even once. But, and I have to say this, because I love you, and I'm not here to leave you spinning fantasies. Feeling love and acting on love are two different things. And the Ace of Cups confirms the first without guaranteeing the second. The love is real. Whether they have the courage to do something with it is the open question, and it's the question only they can answer. So I don't want you to walk away from this thinking they love me, so it's going to work out. I want you to walk away thinking they love me. And now I get to decide how long I'm willing to wait for them to be brave enough to show it. Those are two very different postures, and the second one keeps your power exactly where it belongs with you. Why the truth is this complicated, and why that's actually good, before I bring this all together, I want to step back and talk about something bigger, because I think it's the real reason I framed this reading the way I did, with the whole open mind warning at the top. Here's a thing I've noticed about how we approach the people we have feelings for. We desperately want them to be simple. We want a clean answer. We want they love me or they don't. They're good for me or they're not. They're going to come around or they're never going to. We crave the binary because the binary is comfortable. It lets us know exactly what to do. And so when we get a reading or advice or a sign, we tend to mash whatever we receive into one of those two boxes, because a clear box feels safer than a messy truth. But real people are not binaries. And tonight's reading refused to give you one. And I want you to understand that the refusal is the value. Because the complicated truth, they love you and they're scared, they're drawn to you and threatened by you, they admire you and resent the power you have, they're fully feeling and fully hiding. That complicated truth is the only one that actually matches reality. The simple version would have felt better for about 10 minutes, and then it would have failed you the next time their behavior didn't fit the box. The complicated version is the one that's going to actually hold up. It's the one that lets you make sense of the next confusing thing they do, because you'll finally understand the system underneath the behavior instead of just reacting to each individual contradiction. And here's why the complexity is genuinely good news, not just accurate news. Simple feelings are shallow feelings. A person who feels one clean, uncomplicated thing about you doesn't feel very much. It's the people who feel everything at once, the drawn to and the scared of, the love and the resentment, the wanting and the fleeing. Those are the people who are in deep. Complexity is the fingerprint of depth. The fact that this person's feelings are this tangled, this contradictory, this hard to pin down, is itself the evidence that they are not casually invested. You cannot generate that much internal conflict over someone you're lukewarm about. The mess is the depth. So if part of you was hoping for a simpler, cleaner answer tonight and felt a little disappointed not to get one, I want you to reframe that. The tangle you're looking at is a love letter. It's just written in a language that takes an open mind to read. This is also why I asked you, right at the start, to loosen your grip on what you thought you knew. Because the people who come into a reading like this, clutching a fixed conclusion, they definitely love me or they definitely don't, those are the people who can't actually receive the truth. Because the truth doesn't fit the container they brought, but you kept an open mind. You let the contradictions in. And that means you walked away with something far more useful than reassurance. You walked away with understanding. And understanding is the only thing that ever actually changes how a situation unfolds. Bringing it all together, so let me pull this whole thing into one piece for you. Divine Feminine. Because we covered a lot of complicated ground tonight, and I want you leaving with clarity, not just feelings. The reading opened with the Seven of Swords and the shocking truth that what this person is hiding isn't a betrayal, it's the depth of their own feeling. A feeling so big it embarrasses them, so they camouflage it with coolness. Then the Two of Pentacles showed us why they're so inconsistent. They're holding two versions of you in their head, the intimidating pedestal version and the real human version. And they retreat from the first and reach for the second, which is why your realness draws them closer than your impressiveness ever could. The Five of Wands revealed the resentment nobody talks about, not resentment of you, but of the power you have over their feelings without even trying, and the sideways ways that resentment shows up as them clawing for control. The Four of Cups took us into their private moments, where they confess fears they'd never say out loud, that you might be the one, that they don't deserve you, that they feel too much and don't trust themselves with it. The Queen of Wands showed us the secret admiration. They think you're too good, genuinely intimidated by your light, kept at a distance not because you're not enough, but because they're scared they're not. The Six of Cups revealed the small, ordinary memory they replay on a loop. Proof that what they crave from you isn't grandeur, it's the quiet, safe, human closeness. The Nine of Swords named the fear running the whole machine, that loving you fully means risking a devastation they've already survived once. So they love at half volume to protect themselves from a wound someone else inflicted long ago. And the Ace of Cups closed it all with the bedrock truth. Underneath every defense, every wall, every confusing behavior, there is a clean and overflowing well of genuine love for you. The armor is on top. The love is underneath. And the love is the realer thing. So here's what I want you to carry out of this reading, my loves. You came in tonight, maybe bracing for the worst, maybe half, expecting the cards to confirm that you've been caring more than they have, that you've been reading too much into things, that their distance meant disinterest. And instead, the cards handed you something genuinely shocking, that you may have had the entire dynamic backwards. that their coolness was camouflage, that their pullback was protection, that their inconsistency was a war happening inside them, not a verdict being delivered to you. That underneath all of it is a person who is quite simply scared of how much they love you. Now I will not let you turn that into a leash on yourself. Knowing that they love you is not the same as them earning a place in your life. The love being real does not obligate you to wait forever for them to be brave with it. So hold both truths at once, the way the Two of Pentacles taught us. Yes, the feeling is genuine, and also, I get to decide what I'll accept. You are allowed to know you're loved and still require that the love be shown, not just felt. You are allowed to have compassion for their fear and still have standards for your own life. Compassion and boundaries are not enemies, they're partners. And a woman who holds both is unstoppable. Don't shrink your light to make them comfortable. Your light is the thing that woke them up in the first place. Don't perform the pedestal version of yourself to impress them. Your realness is what actually melts them. And don't read their fear as your unworthiness. The walls were built before you ever arrived. Just keep being the safe, warm, fully alive, genuinely you presence that you already are, and let them gather the courage to reach for the cup that's been right in front of them this whole time. And if they never find that courage, then you'll have lost nothing, because you'll have stayed completely, unapologetically yourself the entire time, and that self is the most magnetic thing in any room you walk into. That's it for tonight, my beautiful open-minded souls. Thank you for being brave enough to look at the complicated truth instead of settling for the comfortable lie. That takes something. Most people can't do it. You did. If this reading resonated, if it reframed something, if it made your chest tighten, if a face flashed through your mind, if you felt that uncomfortable but true yes somewhere in your body, please give this video a like on your way out. It genuinely helps these messages find the people brave enough to receive them. And subscribe to Elena Tarot if you haven't yet, because the real, raw, unflinching readings are what I do. And I've got so many more coming for you. Drop a comment and tell me which pull hit you the hardest tonight. Was it the camouflaged feeling, the resentment, the fear, the memory they replay, the love at the very bottom? I read every single one, and the card you name tells me exactly where you are in your own story. And if you already know exactly who this person is, you don't have to name them. Just type one single star, so I know it landed all the way down. Thank you for spending this time with me tonight, and thank you for keeping that open mind, even when what came through wasn't what you expected. That openness is a gift to yourself and to anyone lucky enough to be loved by you.